Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 16 of season 2 of our F1 2020 My Team career mode, where today we're here back ready for the Singapore Grand Prix. Obviously if you missed out on yesterday's video from Italy, I would definitely recommend going back and checking that one out. We learned a lot of lessons from that Grand Prix, I think is the best way we're going to word it heading into this weekend. But I think now, officially, for the first time ever in Formula 1, we have now got the quickest car on the grid. Yes, we have now got no excuses as to why we can't be winning races here. You can see 16, 16 and 15 upgrades on the performance side of things there. So we're making good progress at the moment. We've also had a big upgrade come through from Renault as well. You can see the lightweight pistons, which have given us a bit of a helping hand, but we have still got another couple of upgrades coming to the car before the end of the year. That one is going to be very useful on the power unit engine turbo size upgrade, so we're going to get even more power from the car. Things you love to see. But yeah, anyway, heading into this weekend though, here from Singapore, we've got $7 million in the books, so we're going to try and get another upgrade on the car. We're going to go with the improved build time of all upgrades, level 2. Obviously, we need to try and start getting all these up to facility level 3, ready for season 3 here. So hopefully we can try and get a couple more of those done over the next couple of weeks. But anyway, let's head on then into the Singapore Grand Prix weekend. One of the toughest tracks on the Formula 1 calendar. Hopefully, we can just keep it clean and tidy. Coming down in towards the final sector of our ERS run. Singapore's one of those really weird tracks now that should suit our car absolutely to a T. Obviously, we've got the best aero in Formula 1, we've got the best chassis in Formula 1, and it's not a particularly power-orientated circuit. But it's just about trying to get into a rhythm more than anything else around this place. Just trying to get the lap hooked up, as now I think that was just a flash of rain as we head through the final couple of corners. Thank God we're about to get this practice program done and dusted through the final corner. There we go, purple score.
Program complete and a job well done.
So, free practice done and dusted then. It's going to be near enough 1,000 R&D points on the board. Maybe we can get another upgrade on. So, back at base then, are we going to be able to get any more upgrades on the car? I don't actually think we can anymore, unless obviously we look at durability. All the upgrades we've got left now that we can do at the moment are major upgrades. So, yeah, we won't actually be able to get one done then before this Grand Prix. We have still got 2 minor upgrades left. The one on the chassis, though, I'm very confused by. How on earth are you meant to get that? There's no possible way at the moment, but anyway, so we can't get an upgrade on them. That's alright, that's fine. Let's just focus on qualifying. Coming out then into Q2, Q1 was pretty plain sailing. We were able to get through nice and tidily. Q2 though, might be a little bit more dramatic here. It suddenly seems to have started raining. However, everyone now has really only got one shot to try and get a lap hooked up on the dries before we get the crossover. It isn't meant to get dry again before the Grand Prix now, so we need to try and keep this lap hooked up nice and tidy. And then, really, I can't see anyone being able to improve, as that is not the line through turn 4. DRS has now been disabled as we're about halfway through our lap at the moment. Hamilton, currently fastest, 13 seconds off our Q1 times here, as we're just trying to keep the lap hooked up. I'll be honest, I've got no idea how far off Hamilton we should end up being, as we are just locking up all over the place, trying to get the power down out of the back straight away. Still wheel spinning in 5th gear as we head down in towards the final sector of the lap. I've got no idea how far off Hamilton we are now, but I'm guessing it's quite a few seconds. In all honesty, I think our only hope is that hopefully 10 people haven't done their laps yet, otherwise we might be out in Q2 here, ready for the Singapore Grand Prix. Wallop in the Armco as we head in through the final few corners of the lap, and we are just tiptoeing around trying to get a lap hooked up. Car just obviously grips up through the stadium section there, but in towards the final couple of corners, trying to just keep it clean and tidy. Wheel spinning in 6th gear up to the finish line. Catastrophic understeer through the final corner, foot to the floor, is 7th and straight into the wall. Not the best sound effect in the world.
If it takes too much damage.
That might be good enough to get us through into Q3 though. Coming towards the end of Q2, though, it really appears we did end up with the worst of both worlds. We didn't have the grip on the dries, and now we don't have the better track for the inters, so we're going to have to go out later on in this session. We're down in P16 at the moment, so we need to try and find some time round here. Let's see now if we can form a bit of a miracle and get this car back inside the top 10. Might be a bit difficult, but hopefully these tyres will be much better condition to get a good lap in. Through the first couple of corners, we should at least be able to find a bit of time through here after we don't mess it up. No, it's all over. It's P16 for the Singapore Grand Prix. How on earth have we gone from having such a quick car to nowhere when qualifying is all said and done? So Q2 done and dusted then. You can see actually, yeah, we were a couple of seconds off the pace of, well, I mean, it was such a spread out field in the end. We were 8.2 off Hamilton. Only 3 drivers, him, Gasly and Charles Leclerc, able to get through into Q3 comfortably there. Albon on a set of mediums made it work. Daniel Ricciardo scraped by. Splat bang in the middle of the Inters runners when all is said and done. That just goes to show how crazy that session was at the end of the day. But Bottas up in 8th place. Both Ferraris make it through into Q2 as well as our teammate. We're on the back foot here. We need to try and make the difference in the Grand Prix.
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula One returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging Grand Prix. The Marina Bay Street Circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. George Russell will begin today's event from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Vettel, Ricciardo, Alexander Albon, and Leclerc, Perez, Gasly, Verstappen, and Esteban Ocon, Norris, Kvyat, Valtteri Bottas. They've taken a grid penalty. And Stroll, Sainz, Mr. Monaco, Kimi Raikkonen, and Kevin Magnussen. De Vries, Matsushita, King, and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for the Singapore Grand Prix. We've been given a bit of a lifeline. Valtteri Bottas starts just 1 row ahead of us, ready for this race. Our teammate George Russell on the pole by 0.6 of a second. Just goes to show how quick this car is around this racetrack. But we're going to try and make the medium-hard strategy work around this place today. You basically want to spend as little time as possible in the pit lane here. So yeah, we'll wait and see as to how that goes. It reckons it's going to be about 2 seconds slower than the 2-stop, but we've got a very quick package. It's reckoning that strategy is quicker. So we'll go with that, I guess. I don't really know. But anyway, yeah, hopefully we can just try and carve our way through the mid-pack early on. Maybe we can work with Bottas a bit, but try and get ahead of him as well here in the early stages. But I just want to dive into it then. Qualifying was a nightmare. Hopefully today's Singapore Grand Prix can spring up a bit of a surprise. 16th on the grid, ready for round 16 of the season. It's 5 red lights and it's the lights out. And away we go, off to a good start in the end. A little bit of wheel spin as we head down in towards turn 1. We'll try and have a sneak up the inside of Lance Stroll, and we're up 2 places straight off the marks then as we head through turn 3 and turn 4. Stroll actually on a set of these soft compounded tyres, gets right back round us rather quickly there, so not the perfect start in the world. But yeah, we just need to see if we can try and stick with a Bottas here, keep him in our line of sight as we head up through the boulevard for the first time. Bottas having a look up the inside of Kvyat. Stroll just sort of sitting back and watching on. We're going to have to go for the send up the inside. We've got to be aggressive here. We've got to start taking points out of Bottas, as well as the fact our other main title rival, Lewis Hamilton, isn't far behind us now as well. after last weekend's race there. Stroll looking a bit feisty in towards the old Singapore sling. Not quite able to go for anything though this time round. Just went out all over the back of Capure. Full send at the inside over the Anderson Bridge. Well, up another place. So George does lead at the end of lap 1 then, after a very, very quick opening lap to this Grand Prix. I did say this car's quick round here. Maybe if we can't prove it, George certainly can still nonetheless. But hopefully, yeah, we can just try and get round all the midfielders. Bottas, though, next car on the old hit list. He certainly is a midfielder at this stage of the year. Trying to get a good run out onto the boulevard. Once again, we've got to take any opportunity we can with Valtteri here. He is going to go defensive on us, so we'll try and stick the nose around the outside. He makes a bit of a wobble, and that might be a critical mistake from Valtteri Bottas. Up the inside into the next corner, hang him out to dry, and we're up into 12th. We've really got to try and take every opportunity we can at the moment, but the car is feeling quick as we head down the Raffles Boulevard once again. Lando just a little bit early on the brakes on the inside. We run wide, we're going to have to let him keep the position, as we weren't able to stay within track limits that time round. But yeah, this car, this place just really does play to our strengths at the moment, so we've got to try and use that fact. You can see George is proving it at the front of the field. He's already building up a good margin over the Mercedes and Ferrari. Oh, Lando getting a little bit loose and lively in towards the final couple of corners of lap 3. Hopefully now we can try and apply a bit more pressure to him as we head through the final of the chicanes. Just taking so much curb. The chassis is just so stable around here. It's through the final corner, almost pushing Lando out of the final turn there. We have got a good run on the McLaren as we head down in towards turn 1. Try to have a look to the outside. No, Lando locks up. We're going to be able to get the switch back on him though. Should have the inside for turn 3. Get the power down nicely on the exit. He's still going to keep the nose there. I have to squeeze him a little bit defensive in towards turn 4. Get the traction on the exit. Lando gets loose and we get round him. Up into P11 of this race. Bottas might be able to follow us through. He thinks about it but can't quite make the move work. Lando gets very, very close to us, but we hold firm, and we now hold on to 11th. We've just got so much more grip than the midfield runners at the moment there through the final couple of corners. Ocon, big lock-up. Can we try and get it hooked up? We just about hold it between track limits there, I think. And we should be round him. Yes, there we go, past the Renault who joined us on the podium last year. I'd still like to believe we've got another shot at it today, but I don't fancy Ocon's chances, I'll be real. I've just remembered as well, actually, as we come towards the end of lap 5, there were, what, Gasly, Hamilton, and I think, was it our teammate George Russell? No. Someone else, obviously, all made it through into Q3 on the set of the softs. So they're obviously on those soft tyres that made it through into Q3 on those horrible wet conditions there. As we got our first driver into the pits, yeah, it was Charles Leclerc was the other man there. So we got a couple of people actually diving in. Hamilton came in as well. So obviously everyone else inside the top 10 would have had free tyre choice here, apart from whoever it was that started on the mediums. Sorry, made it through into Q3. That was Daniel Ricciardo, if I'm not mistaken. So it really has sort of spiced up this field even more, actually, when you think about it. Just those, we got so many different strategies going on around the circuit at the moment, but we probably should focus more on the fact that we're right all over the gearbox of Sergio Perez. He might try and look up the inside of Gasly, or he thinks about it, but we get around the outside of the racing point, and we're up into 6th. Gasly should be easy pickings as we head out onto the back straightaway. He's a little bit cautious over the Anderson Bridge. Hopefully we can just try and get the power down and maybe go for a bit of a send in towards Sector 3. Up the inside we go. Come on. Almost put it in the wall. But Gasly's much the wiser and defends the position. Come on, Gasly, get into the pits end of this lap, please, buddy. Yes, there we go. Gasly into the pits, as now we've just got the top 4 in front of us here. Both Ferraris, a Red Bull, and our teammate. What is the new strat? Pit, same as normal. Don't know what on earth they're trying to recommend. We are trying to stay out of the pits for as long as possible today. They always say Singapore's a bit more like an endurance race. That is always the key to endurance racing. Oh, Vettel then into the pits as we set a purple final sector. Down into the 39s now. That's our new PB by 2 seconds in this race. This car is quick at the moment, and we are right in the rhythm as well. Oh, Verstappen then into the pits 1 lap after his teammate here, so clearly the soft tyres aren't working out well at the moment, but Russell already has got a 16-second lead in this Grand Prix. The pace we've seen from him in this first stint has been incredible, but we're just still trying to get our head down and see if we can match him. Normally, we have been the quicker car in race trim, so if Russell's that strong, let's see what we're capable of here. Alex Albon shouldn't be the biggest threat in the world this weekend either, as we go look to the inside in towards turn 1. We have now got the move done on the Red Bull. They just never really have had the pace this year, but now we've got to see if we can try and get in the hunt of George. So big news then coming from the team. Bottas has got issues with his car. I think he's still in about 6th place at the moment in this Grand Prix, but that might slow him down, as obviously everyone is on a bit of a split strategy at the moment. We've taken about a second out of George on the last lap and a half, so we are definitely quicker than our teammate at the moment, but we have just got to be careful and try and get the car to the end. Remember, this team's still never had a 1-2 in Formula 1, so we would probably quite like that this weekend if possible. End of lap 12 then. George Russell is into the pit, so he clearly has been struggling on those tyres in the last couple of laps. We're still able to find a lot of pace from them. That's not going to help us out though. No point pitting in this lap. However, we are going to have to pit the end of the next one then and get a new front wing. Not what we needed. Coming towards the end of lap 13 though, I don't think I want to take these tyres any further if we wanted to anyway. They're absolutely destroyed as we head down into the pit lane. A little bit scrappy on the way in. 37 on the way in. Make sure you remember that. So we are probably going to be down a little bit further in this race at the moment. Raikkonen, Hamilton and Vettel all on the mediums still, but with the front wing change, I think we're going to come out just behind Verstappen, in all honesty, in this race. We shall wait and see. So we are going to have to still be aggressive in the second stint. Raikkonen dives it back into the pits though. But yeah, all those guys are going to fly past us. 7.8 second stop isn't too shabby. But yeah, as long as we come out ahead of the Alpha Tauri, we should be all good. Try and avoid the wheel spin on the exit. Still get an absolute boatload as we head through turn 1. Back out in P7 then, but a lot of the guys in front of us are still going to have to pit again. Pretty much now at the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. We're trying to push for fastest lap here, see if that's possible. Yes, there we go. 38.2. I don't actually know what the fastest lap was before now, but hopefully that will give us the bonus point as well here. Now we're all over the back of Verstappen and Leclerc, and yeah, this car just feels alive this weekend. It really is just working out wonderfully for us as we head on to the Raffles Boulevard once more. Lap 16 though, it very much feels like we should be right towards the end of this race, but no, definitely not. This is the Singapore Grand Prix, of course. In through the end of the back straightaway, nothing we can really do there. Have to sit back and watch for just a little bit longer here as Verstappen also on a... no, he's on a set of mediums, even not hards. Let's just see if we can try and make something work. Coming over the Anderson Bridge. Big lock-up, but we get the car slowed down at the inside of Verstappen. You've sort of got to take him by surprise. There, the team very happy with that one, so we will take it. But yeah, up once again into 6th. Oh, we got Hamilton. Oh, everyone's into the pits even, I should say, as we head through the final corner. Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, as well as Alex Albon, they're all into the pits, so we're now back up into 3rd. Vettel's still on the mediums as well, though, so he's going to have to dive it in fairly soon in this Grand Prix with a bit of luck. Our teammate, though, George Russell, 20 seconds up the road. It really is starting to all fall into place right when it matters this weekend. End of lap 19. We have now caught back up to Sebastian Vettel here, but as soon as we get to him, he's going to dive it into the pits with just 12 laps to go of this Grand Prix. I'll be honest, we are taking a fair bit of time still out of George, but I imagine he's just trying to play it safe at the moment, and we probably should think about doing the same. Only a handful of laps then to go here from the Singapore Grand Prix. George is still way up in front, but we are still taking time out of him lap after lap, just trying to sort of rack up these laps at the moment, try and get the car to the flag and just keep it clean and tidy. I know I've discussed it before, sort of the tunnel vision you find you get at Monaco. Singapore very much, I think, for genuinely one of the first times now, starting to feel the same way as well. Just really, really sort of dialed in, settled down, and it's working wonders with the car. 5 laps to go then here from the Singapore Grand Prix, and I'm just praying at the moment that we don't get a safety car or anything like that. Obviously, it completely screwed us last time out. With a 30-second margin, though, you'd hope we'd be pretty safe, but if there's anything I learned from last race, it's never safe until it's over. Let's just get these 2 cars to the flag and try to pick up all 44 points. Oh, as soon as I mentioned potential of a safety car, we got some yellow flags out. It's one of the Renaults, it's Ocon, and we got a full safety car with 4 laps to go here. This better not screw us. We are going to dive it into the pits though at the end of lap 27. I'll be honest, as bad as I feel for poor George Russell, we do ideally want to be in a shot of winning this race. Obviously for our championship. I think, you know, if we were a real Formula 1 team, there would be a very, very firm discussion about whether George should let us by. But anyway, down into pit road. Going to go on to a set of these soft compounded tyres for the last couple of laps. We might find the safety car comes in at the end of this one. Why we changed the front wing, I will never know. Hopefully it won't cost us anything. Another 7.8 second stop, so at least the team are consistent with him. But George now 35 seconds up the road. I don't think the safety car will come in this lap. I think it'll be the end of 29. So here we go then. 2 laps to go of the Singapore Grand Prix. Our teammate George does have Nicholas Latifi just behind him as a little bit of a sort of guard, if you will, in towards the final couple of laps. I'm still undecided about what we do about George here. I mean, he has dominated this weekend from start to finish so far, at least this Grand Prix at the very least. We might just try and defend from Perez and those guys, but yeah, I'm just was thinking about Monaco. Obviously, we had a great chance at a 1-2 there, and we threw it away in the dying stages after George and I came together. I don't really want that again to happen today, so we will go green once again here from the Singapore Grand Prix, but I'm not going to be aggressive with George. If he makes a mistake and we get through, then we're there to pick up the pieces. If not, I don't really want to take a gamble, to be honest. I think George does deserve this one. Let me know what you guys would do down in the comments below, but already George is just trying to take off from the rest of the field through turn 5 even, I should say. We have still got a bit of a gap to Perez just behind us.
Right, come in at the end of this lap.
I don't know why we've accidentally set up the radio to come in the end of this lap, but we're not going to worry about that. Just trying to get the tyres up to temperature. But yeah, I just don't really feel comfortable in trying to risk going for a move on George. Coming on then to the final lap of this Singapore Grand Prix. You see, we've already built up a 2-second margin over Sergio Perez behind us. I'm sure he desperately wants to hold on to a podium this weekend as well. But we're just sat behind our teammate George Russell. And yeah, like I said, it really has sort of given me a bit of questioning to do. But he's been such a key part of this team so far this year in really developing this car and getting us right to the very front in Formula 1. He's never, well, I mean, he's rarely had the luck of the green as well. He's had so many race victories that have been taken away from him, or at least potential race victories, due to either small incidents or just cars around him just getting him right at the very end of races here. So I'm not going to put up much of a fight. George, you enjoy this one, buddy. You've certainly earned it this weekend from the Singapore Grand Prix. Excluding myself, before the safety car came out, George had a 40-second lead over any other team's cars this weekend. That's just how quick this thing has been around this track with both of us at the wheel. It's basically been unstoppable this weekend, and there's no point risking it right at the very end. As you can see, not able to get the traction out onto the back straight all too well. We'll just lift off, make it very, very clear we're not going to go for a send or anything like that in towards the final few corners here. But we have waited so long for a 1-2 in Formula 1. I didn't quite expect it to come today, in all honesty, starting 16th on the grid, but this car has been undeniably OP around the streets of Singapore. Through the final few corners we go. George is finally going to get his second win of the year, and his second ever in Formula 1. 2 more corners to go then. It's a 1-2 here at Singapore. In the end, a perfect weekend.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you've pulled through. Thank you.
They've endured the harsh conditions here in Singapore to pull off a spectacular victory. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
The faces on our top three look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all. So let's review the updated driver standings. Not the result our points leader wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
So there we are then, the end of the Singapore Grand Prix, and it is George Russell taking home his second ever Formula One race victory there in interesting circumstances. But yeah, it was very much a Valtteri James kind of call from myself as team owner at the end of the day that I would just give George the space and let him take home a very, very well-deserved race victory. Let me know down in the comments below, like I said, what you guys would have done in that situation. Would you have just gone all out for it nonetheless, or would you have just played the team cards as well there? But 16th to 2nd at the end of the day with the fastest lap, only a 10th off the race victory. Very, very happy with that one there. Sergio Perez in 3rd, another podium for the Mexican in Formula 1. It's just a common sight at this point of the year there. Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen 4th and 5th. Carlos Sainz in 6th, ahead of Hamilton in 7th, and Bottas down in 8th place. I will be honest, if I lose the Drivers' Championship by less than 7 points, I'm going to be massively tilted. However, if that has cost us the World Championship there. But Raikkonen in 9th, ahead of Ricciardo, last year's race winner, picking up 1 point for Red Bull at the end of the day there. Magnussen in 11th, ahead of Charles Leclerc and Albon there. And yeah, 2 P2s in a row around this track. Will Season 3 finally be the year that we pick up the dubs? No other big surprises, I don't think, at the end of the day. Only Esteban Ocon, who last year scored a podium, this year wasn't even able to get to the flag. Very, very disappointed for him when all is said and done. But it means now the gap to Bottas down to 23 points in the Drivers' Championship there. Hamilton now 25 behind us as well. So we're starting to get a little bit safe back in P2 here after a bit of a scare heading into this weekend. Verstappen and Vettel still in 4th and 5th there. George Russell now just 3 points behind Sergio Perez. He should be able to get 6th by the end of the season. Maybe even 5th, depending on what happens to Seb in the latter stages. But the only other swappers then were Carlos Sainz moving back past Albon and his teammate Lando Norris there back up into P14. And constructors-wise, 1 point now separates us and Ferrari with just 6 races to go of the year here. It's all heating up in the final few races of the championship. There is still a whole lot to play for as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, do make sure you get yourself subscribed. And yeah, we will hopefully be back tomorrow. I think, is it Japan or is it Russia? I don't know. We'll be at one of them. You guys do not want to miss it. Unless it's Russia. Then it might be a bit boring. But make sure you're here anyway. Make sure you click the like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And yeah, we will be back tomorrow for wherever we end up racing. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.